All right, everyone. So this is your midweek checkup for the week. So I just want to go over a few things to make sure everyone is doing all right. Something else I want to reiterate again. So before we left for all the craziness of quarantine and coronavirus, you were assigned the cat person discussion board, and several of you have not submitted that yet. And it's a big old goose egg in the grade book for a lot of you. So please make sure that you submit that. I'm going to allow it. It's going to be open until Sunday at 11:59 p.m. So once we move beyond that, essentially it's been 2 additional weeks for you to submit that. So unless there's some other circumstances that are going on that you've already communicated with me about, then I'm going to close that submission. So make sure that you submit the cat person discussion board if you haven't already done that. So, and then also for, make sure you submit everything that you had up for week 9 as well, and we'll talk about week 10 and everything that's going on. So, my kid is in the background going, "Hey, Cooper! Cooper! Come here! Come here!" You see my son? Come here, buddy.
What?
You want to be on video real quick? You want to say hi to my students? What, you see your face on there? Can you say hi?
Hi.
Can you wave? What should my students know? Do you want to tell them anything?
Yeah.
What do you want to say?
Nothing.
Okay. You go play. Was that revelatory for you? Okay. So, let's talk about your assignment this week. So, for your assignment this week, you're supposed to read Langston Hughes' The Negro Speaks of Rivers. And so this is the poem right here. And I just want to run over it real quickly because a lot of you were having a little difficulty with interpretation of it, and that's fine. So, The Negro Speaks of Rivers by Langston Hughes. I've known rivers ancient as the world and older than the flow of human blood and human veins. My soul has grown deep like the rivers. I bathed in the Euphrates when dawns were young. I built my hut near the Congo and it lulled me to sleep. I looked upon the Nile and raised the pyramids above it. I heard the singing of the Mississippi when Abe Lincoln went down to New Orleans, and I've seen its muddy bosom turn all golden in the sunset. I've known rivers, ancient, dusky rivers. My soul has grown deep like the rivers. So, this is a really, really famous poem by Langston Hughes, who's known as the father of the Harlem Renaissance, at least for the poetry movement. And something he's doing here in the midst of the Harlem Renaissance is comparing his black identity through these rivers. So we have very famous world rivers in the Middle East, in Egypt, as well as in America as well. And symbolically, rivers are often connected to the origins of civilization. And this is a way of communicating that his people, Africans, have essentially originated since the beginning of creation and have sustained their livelihoods throughout all of history. And something that's really encouraging about this, too, is this last line in the 3rd stanza. I heard the singing of the Mississippi when Abe Lincoln went down to New Orleans, which is a really famous steamboat trip that Abraham Lincoln took where he noticed slavery that was happening in America and was thought to be kind of the spark plug for what led his push for the Emancipation Proclamation that freed the slaves. And I've seen its muddy bosom turn all golden in the sunset. And the river turning from something muddy to something golden is supposed to be a foreshadowing, an idea of hope being introduced, that things are going to get better, that there is a sense of liberation that is coming. So that's just kind of my take on Langston Hughes' poem. He's written so many beautiful poems. We're going to be reading one more throughout the course of the week. But if you're ever having trouble with interpretation of any of these things, I love using shmoop.com. So if you look up here, SHMOOP. So if you just Google Shmoop and then the name of the work that you're trying to analyze. So for here, I did The Negro Speaks of Rivers, and you'll get all sorts of different things, from themes to a summary. You can get the poem itself. You can get some background information on Langston Hughes. So that's what I would do if you're ever having difficulty with it. So another thing that I want to help you out with is the podcast from 1619. I'm getting a lot of really great feedback from you all on the podcast, so I'm really glad that you're enjoying it. So I'm going to click on lessons, and then I'm in week 10. Excuse me. I'm sorry. I'm going to go into the syllabus, which is where the link is. So if you remember, you've got to do the CRAP test with the 1619 podcast, specifically this episode. Okay? So once I click on the Fight for a True Democracy, you should have to look at a few things. Obviously, you're going to look at the publication, which is the New York Times. You can click on the transcript and get different bits of information, different people that are speaking. You can look up the credentials of Nicole Hannah-Jones. You can Google her, Annie Brown, all these people. Who are they? And determine if this is a credible source of information. And once again, please make sure that you are actually referencing the acronym CRAAP when you're judging whether or not the piece is something that is credible. So if you go in through the discussion board and click Create Thread, look at those people that have already submitted. Please make sure that you're referencing these things. Talk about the currency, talk about the relevance, talk about the authority, talk about the accuracy, talk about the purpose. If you're not referencing those things and are simply just basing the credibility of an argument based off of your own opinion, your grade's not going to be very good, because we need to ground our opinion in topics in objective types of materials. So just because you disagree or agree with an opinion doesn't really mean anything. Is this a person that we should listen to? Because there are tons of people that we disagree with that are still credible to listen to. Okay, so that's the Langston Hughes information, 1619 information. Oh, another thing that I want to tell you about, I'm going to be doing something for my office hours. This is a little bit of an experiment, so it could take a little bit of getting used to, but I'm going to be doing office hours face-to-face through the Google Hangouts app. So here's what it'll look like for you. So this is Google Hangouts. So, and what's going to happen is that essentially you can use your phone and I think your computer too, but I'm not quite sure how that works. So we can interact face to face. If you're having trouble with an assignment or trouble with your essay, this is a way that you can look at my beautiful, dazzling face and I can help you out. So all communication is done through TCC's Google platform using verified email addresses. So you're going to have to log in through your TCC Gmail account. And the way you can do that is once you're in through Blackboard, let me open up a new window here. You'll see along the left side, it says right here, My TCC Email and Drive Apps. If you click right there, it should bring you to the login. And that way it'll open up your browser into your Gmail account. Okay? So now when you're chatting with me, make sure that you click that gear icon that's in the top right, and you can keep track of all our information. So we might be typing back and forth. I think it might actually record the videos. So we'll have to see how that goes. And once again, I'm learning this too, so there might be some hiccups here and there, but we'll work together to flatten it all out. Okay, so this is the important part. Setting up your account and adding contacts. So once you are in your Google Drive, you're going to go to hangouts.google.com. Okay? So go to that site right there. Once again, you should already be logged in, but if you're not, log into your my.tccd.edu Google account. And then you've got to add me as your friend. Oh. So to add your professor as a contact, you're going to go to Contacts. And you're going to go to New Conversation and enter their email address. So my email address is going to be scott.heaton, Heaton, at my.tccd.edu. And I'll put that in the announcement and the email as well. So make sure you can add me there. And then if you want to move on later, if you want to start making groups with people in the class, you can do that as well. We can try to figure that out if some of you are interested in doing it. So chatting options. So users can communicate using the web platform hangouts.google.com, or you can use the app, which is what I'm going to be using. So if you want to use the Google Hangouts app, search for that. It should be like a green bubble with quotation marks in it, and that should kind of streamline the process. So that's what I'll be using for communication as well. So now once you've added me as a contact, there should be a green circle next to my name when I'm online. And if you click on it, it should notify me that you are wanting to hang out. I'll get a Topo Chico. I have Topo Chicos. So if you want to grab one of those, we can have Topo Chicos together. We can talk about your assignment. So, and once you do that, it should initiate the process for you to talk with me about assignments. If you just need to look at another human being, who else better is there to look at? Now, my plan is to be on Google Hangouts from 12 p.m. to 2 p.m. Monday through Friday. So that's the goal right now. Unless for some reason that time does not work for you, but you really need to get in contact with me, then through Remind or email, we can try to set up a different appointment for you. I know there's a lot of steps. So what I would encourage you to do is to download the Google Hangouts app and then add me as a contact. And then if you need to talk with me, hop on between noon and 2 for us to talk. Okay? Now, I will attach this PowerPoint as well in the announcement for any of you that need help with it. And I think that pretty much covers everything. So I want to leave you all with some encouragement. This is my girl, Brene. Where did she go? Where are you at, Brene? There you are. Okay, this is a good quote from Brene Brown that I really like. I want to share it with you. So Brene says, "Love. We cultivate love when we allow our most vulnerable and powerful selves to be deeply seen and known, and when we honor the spiritual connection that grows from that offering with trust, respect, kindness, and affection. Love is not something we give or get. It is something that we nurture and grow, a connection that can only be cultivated between two people when it exists within each one of them. We can only love others as much as we love ourselves. Shame, blame, disrespect, betrayal, and the withholding of affection damage the roots from which love grows. Love can only survive these injuries if they are acknowledged, healed, and rare." So something I want to encourage you all to do, especially with people that are in your house, you might be going a little bit wild right now, and people might really frustrate you. So what I want to encourage you to do, based off of Brene's words, is to choose to make loving behaviors even if you're not feeling them. So if it's a sibling or a parent or a significant other, try to do something loving for them today to let them know that you actually do care, even if you are starting to feel a little bit wild and crazy, being cooped up so much. So, and that's really what love is. It's choosing to do something loving even when we don't feel it. So I just want to encourage you with that. Also, some other things. If you have not watched Tiger King yet, go watch that show. Crazy! If you want to talk during office hours about Tiger King, I will talk to you about Tiger King. I'm not officially recommending it because some of the language is a little salty, some intense content, but man, if you're bored, you will not be bored watching that show. Okay, so y'all are awesome. If you need to talk to me about an assignment, go ahead and hop on Google Hangouts. Let's see if it works. If it doesn't work for some reason, please, please, please message me via Remind or an email to let me know what the problem was, because this is the first time I've done this. So I want to make sure everything's working, and I will, I think that's all I have. So make sure that you submit your discussion board about Langston Hughes as well as the 1619 podcast before 11:59 p.m. on Sunday, and any other assignments that you haven't submitted yet. I'm just taking everything right now. Just make sure you submit after this week. Hopefully we're back on board with a more regular schedule. All right. Y'all are beautiful, wonderful people, and I will see you on Monday.